The Hunger of Ghosts actually started with the figure of a fisherman. I was covering slaughterhouses for a food story, and I spent a little time talking to butchers. There was one butcher who was sitting in the corner of this old Delhi market, and he was cutting fish with immense precision, but he did not want to talk. So I realized at some point that we had a language in common. We both spoke Bengali. So I tried to break the ice by asking him a few questions, and he kept on cutting fish superbly, beautiful cuts, absolutely perfect, scaling, all of that. And he responded in monosyllabic grunts. And then I said in Bengali, "You cut beautifully, where did you learn your trade?" And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "In 1971 in Dhaka." And that more or less stopped the conversation, because as everybody knows, 1971 is when the Dhaka War happened and Bangladesh was born through that tremendous genocide. What I didn't know at that time, though I'd lived in Delhi all my life, was that many, many people from Bangladesh came over. I respected that man's privacy. To this day, I do not know whether he meant that he had suffered greatly in the massacre, or whether, a little more ambiguously, he had been on the side of the Razakars who were also the killing troops. Either is a possibility. But what I do know is that if you arrived from Dhaka into Delhi at that point of time, you would come into a city that was just 7 years away from the emergency. And almost certainly you would settle down only to be displaced again. So that is where the story began. I didn't expect it to carry me all the way back into the past. The history of India, as is given to us in a sense, starts with the national movement, and a great deal of the history of every country, I think, has to be explored and rediscovered by those of us in our lifetimes. You know, we are pulled back to certain things. So to a certain extent, I guess what I'm trying to do is a family history of the past. It's an exploration of the way you live with painful memories, but it's also an exploration of the ways in which what you choose to remember will also change you. I came here wanting one thing only, which was the time to write. I have a fairly busy life as a columnist and as a journalist in my other avatar. And we have a house that is very hospitable, so sometimes between friends and the job, it is very hard to find time to write. That's all I wanted. I wanted a desk and a room with a view. And I have to say, Balaji over-delivered in terms of both of these things. I had not expected the conversations. I had not expected to be startled or to feel a sense of wonder and exploration. One thing that it gave me that I did not even realize I needed was being in a place where the arts and writing are valued for themselves, and where the history of valuing the humanities or ideas, you know, the exchange of ideas, that goes back for centuries in this place. I've been reading a little bit about the history, and it seems to me that ever since the Rockefeller Foundation took over, this has been a place of shelter, also a place of that free flow of ideas between cultures and between people. And sometimes if you live in a very political time, what is valued is politics and power and celebrity and wealth. So it is nice to be, in fact it is important and it's restorative, to be in a place where the values are different. Creativity is worshipped here.